What if the Blue Jays are about to make the kind of move that completely changes everything we thought we knew about their offseason strategy? Something massive is developing right now, and if you've been paying attention to the market over the last 72 hours, you know exactly where this is heading. The front office isn't just tinkering around the edges anymore. They're going all in on building a legitimate championship contender, and the name at the center of all this speculation is exactly who you think it is. The Blue Jays have already made serious moves this winter. Shane Bieber exercised his option to return, giving the rotation a proven veteran presence. Dylan Cease got locked down, adding another strikeout weapon to the mix. They went overseas and grabbed Cody Poteet, the KBO MVP, as a low-risk gamble that could pay off big. Tyler Rogers joined the bullpen to handle high-leverage situations. Every single one of these moves points toward an organization that's done talking about competing and is actually putting the pieces in place to do something special. But all of that, everything they have accomplished so far this offseason, might just be the appetizer before the main course arrives. Kyle Tucker is the name everyone keeps whispering about in front office circles, and for good reason. We're talking about one of the most complete offensive players in baseball, a guy who does everything at an elite level. Power, check. Plate discipline, absolutely. Consistency, year after year after year. Andrew Simon from MLB recently floated the idea that Toronto would be the perfect landing spot for Tucker, and honestly, once you start connecting the dots, it's hard to argue against that logic. The fit makes too much sense from every possible angle. Think about what the Blue Jays outfield would look like with Tucker in the mix. You'd have George Springer still producing at a high level and coming off a Silver Slugger season. You'd have Dalton Varsho, who's become one of the best defensive outfielders in the game while contributing solid offense. You'd have Addison Barger, who smashed 21 homers with 74 RBIs last season and looks like a legitimate building block for the future. Now add Kyle Tucker to that group. That's not just a good outfield. That's a nightmare for opposing pitchers every single night. That's the kind of depth that wins playoff series when it matters most. Tucker's 2025 season wasn't even close to perfect. He dealt with a hand injury that cost him time and clearly affected his performance when he was on the field. Despite all that adversity, he still managed to put up a .266 batting average with 22 home runs and 77 RBIs. He drew 87 walks, showing that even when he wasn't feeling right physically, his plate discipline remained elite. He won another Silver Slugger award, which tells you everything about how respected his offensive game is around the league. Those numbers in an off year, imagine what he does when he's completely healthy and locked in. That's the upside Toronto would be buying into. The strategic calculus here goes way beyond just adding another bat to the lineup. The Blue Jays are trying to build something sustainable, something that can compete not just in 2026, but for years beyond that. Tucker brings the kind of track record that changes how opponents game plan against you. You can't pitch around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. anymore when Kyle Tucker is hitting behind him. You can't load up against the right-handed bats when Tucker gives you elite left-handed production. The tactical advantages multiply across every series, every matchup, every high-pressure situation where one swing changes everything. This would be Tucker's third team after spending most of his career with the Houston Astros and getting dealt to the Cubs at the end of 2024. He's at the stage of his career where he's looking for the right long-term home, somewhere he can settle in and chase championships for the next 5 or 6 years. Toronto checks every box. They've got a strong core. They're investing in winning now. They play in a hitter-friendly park, and they're positioned in a division where they can legitimately compete for titles. If you're Kyle Tucker's agent, you're absolutely listening when the Blue Jays come calling with a serious offer. But let's talk about the reality of what this means for the current roster, because nothing happens in a vacuum. The Blue Jays already have a crowded outfield situation. If Tucker signs, somebody has to go. Maybe it's a trade. Maybe it's a position change. Maybe it's a difficult conversation about playing time and roles. John Schneider and the front office will have to make some tough decisions that won't make everyone happy. That's just the nature of roster construction. When you're upgrading to elite talent, you can't keep everyone, and trying to do so usually means you end up being good at everything but great at nothing. The financial commitment would be substantial. Tucker is going to command something in the range of $250 to $300 million over 8 or 9 years. That's franchise-altering money, the kind of contract that defines your payroll structure for the better part of a decade. Are the Blue Jays prepared to make that level of investment? Do they believe Tucker is the missing piece that takes them from playoff contender to legitimate World Series threat? Those questions don't have easy answers, but the fact that they're reportedly in serious discussions tells you where their mindset is right now. From a pure baseball perspective, adding Tucker makes the Blue Jays offense absolutely terrifying. You're looking at a lineup that can score runs in bunches from multiple spots, that can adjust to any pitching matchup, that has the power to blow games open and the discipline to grind out tough at-bats when necessary. That's championship caliber offense. That's the kind of lineup that makes October runs and puts your pitching staff in position to succeed because they know they've got support behind them every single night. The defensive side matters too. Tucker is a quality outfielder who can handle center field if needed or excel in a corner spot. He's not just a designated hitter masquerading as a fielder. He's a legitimate two-way player who contributes value on both sides of the ball. When you're building a complete team, those details matter. Having outfielders who can actually play defense, who can cover ground and make plays, that's what separates good teams from great ones over a 162 game grind. The timing of all this feels significant. The Blue Jays aren't in rebuild mode. They're not hoping to compete in 3 years. They're ready right now. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in his prime. Bo Bichette is still young and productive. The pitching staff has weapons. The front office has made it clear through their actions that they believe the window is open. Landing Kyle Tucker would be the ultimate statement that they're serious about capitalizing on this opportunity before it closes. For fans who've been waiting for ownership to step up and spend on elite talent, this would be validation that the organization is committed to winning. For players in the clubhouse, it would signal that management believes in what they're building and is willing to invest in making it better. For the rest of the league, it would announce that the Blue Jays aren't just participants in the American League East arms race. They're legitimate contenders who deserve to be taken seriously. The next few days and weeks are going to be absolutely critical. Negotiations like this don't happen overnight, and there are always complications with deals of this magnitude. Other teams are definitely involved, creating competition that could drive the price up or change the dynamics completely. But if Toronto can close this deal, if they can bring Kyle Tucker to Rogers Center on a long-term contract, it would represent the biggest signing in franchise history and a clear turning point in their competitive trajectory. So what's your take on all this? Should the Blue Jays go all in on Tucker regardless of the cost, or are there concerns about committing that much money and roster space to one player? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is the kind of move that defines organizations one way or another.